Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 12:45 and we're going to go ahead and get started. Please do continue lunch and we are just going to move ahead with the show. Are you guys ready for this momentous occasion? Yes. I am only of a certain age persuasion, but I have to tell you that I have never seen an occasion where we have had the opportunity to have our city managers, our county administrators, and a village manager come together to talk about our community. And if anybody knows me, I'm all about community. I have such a passion for my community, so I am so excited. I don't know why someone handed me this mic, because I'm a bit of a rebel, and I think I'm funny, which could be a bad combination, especially since I'm really only the one laughing at my jokes most of the time. And then there's the occasional laugh at me when I'm not trying to be funny, just like that. So, if I go off script a little bit, for those who know me, well, you've already formed your opinion about me. And for those who don't, I ask you to extend your grace. With that said, I would like to recognize our elected officials in the room. And so, if you're one of those people like me who, when I see elected official being missed, I'm like, you missed somebody, and I'm raising my hand. So if I miss somebody, I'm giving you permission now to let me know so that they can be recognized, and I'm not wondering if I forgot to mention someone. So I did see Commissioner Kathy Townsend in the room. If you could wave and let everybody welcome. I'm peering around the room, and we have a list, but I don't see anyone else yet, so you guys help me out. No one else in the room. Okay, well, we're expecting a few others. If they come in the room, I still want to give them acknowledgement throughout, so you guys be patient with that. Next, I want to introduce our esteemed panelists. Again, never before. You guys give me some excitement, man. I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this community opportunity. We have City Manager Russ Blackburn from the City of Port St. Lucie. We have City Manager Nick Mims from the City of Fort Pierce. We have Martin County Manager Don Donaldson, County Administrator. We have County Administrator Howard Tipton from St. Lucie County. Y'all know how I have to act for, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm getting back on track. We have Okeechobee County Manager Deborah Manzo. We have, I better get out my list, hold on. Sorry about this, y'all. Howard Brown from, hold on, let me get my list right, I'm sorry. Here we go, all right, I got it. Howard Brown from the Village of Indiantown, Village Manager. And I did not see Jason Brown. Is Jason Brown here? Okay, so he will be joining us. He is from Indian River County, the county administrator from Indian River County. All right, did I reach everybody? Everybody's here and accounted for except for Jason. Jason, we're waiting on you wherever you are. Next, I would like to recognize the NFBPA, we have Mr. Alphonso Jefferson. We have our first vice president. If you can stand and just remain standing, if you're already standing, that's great. Elijah Wooten, first vice president. Our second vice president, Chanel Tomlin. Our historian, Nadege Pierre. And yours truly, parliamentarian, Sarah Smith. Now, is there anybody out there? Thank you. Now, is there anybody out there wondering what the parliamentarian does and even how to spell it? I mean, can someone help me out here? Oh my God, this is my favorite, y'all. Jonna Morris, and how could I forget Jonna Morris, treasurer. We also have sorry, Jonna, I love you. She's gonna be my mentor, guys, so I won't be doing that anymore. And then we have our secretary seat, which is vacant. So if anybody's looking to fill it, shameless plug, come on aboard. I also want to recognize our NFBPA members. If you're an NFBPA member, please stand. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is your NFBPA team. They have put this momentous occasion together for you. Next, I want to recognize our sponsors. We could not do this event without our sponsors. And so I would like to recognize Jeff Peterson with PGIM Investment. Hold on, we're not ready for you yet. We have joining us Ms. Dawn Van Dyke with Mission Square Retirement. And then we have Mr. Kerry Scaglione with Mission Square Retirement. Scaglione. There you go, that was twice. Okay, so we've gone down and we've got our sponsors. Next up is the invocation. Now, my background is Mormon, Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, and non-denominational. What does that mean? That means I can take you through the throne of grace and pray you through. But I'm not going to do that today. I said I was going to be in my good behavior, so I wrote something down. So I'm going to ask you guys to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to fellowship over lunch with one another. As we talk about the issues and highlights of our cities, village, and counties, we ask you to bless us with the wisdom and solutions necessary to build stronger, more resilient communities. Let this opportunity be one of learning, growing, and relationship building. Guide our hands and feet to action, and we will eternally be grateful. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I had y'all hyped up and then I brought y'all down with my prayer. That's all right, it was effective. How's lunch going, guys? Everything tasting good? All right, because I want to give a shout out to the Boys and Girls Club who is hosting us here today. We're so grateful. I do want to mention their culinary division. We are so proud to be able to partner with them and support our young people and what they're doing, and you are partaking in that opportunity right now. So if you can give them a hand, I would really appreciate it. Next up, we're going to have remarks from our sponsors. We want to lend the floor. I'm happy to walk the mic over to you if you want, or you can grace the podium. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, if you don't remember from about 30 seconds ago, I'm Carrie Scaglione with Mission Square Retirement. And I'm excited to be here on behalf of PGIM and Jeff Peterson, helping fund today's luncheon and sponsor it. We appreciate the opportunity. We thank you. We're excited to have everybody come together and share great ideas. Just a little bit about Mission Square Retirement. We've been around since 1972 under the old moniker ICMA Retirement Corporation. And just like our name says, well, we're here to serve you who all are out there, doing the best for our communities. So we want to be there to support you, to help you, lead you to your retirement security, needs. And hopefully we can be there to support you not only today, but many on years and days through. So thank you, and I hope you have a great conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, maybe I went too fast. You guys need some more of my comedic, whatever you want to call it, because I want to make sure everybody had the opportunity to eat. How you guys doing, panelists? You guys ready to rock and roll? All right, we invite you to join us on stage. And we're going to call up our moderator of the hour, Mr. Kevin Browning. Y'all can clap for him.
Good afternoon, NFBPA, National Forum for Black Public Administrators.
With your own voice.
I'm sure the question. I was just informed that Michelle Franklin, Property Appraiser's Office, is in the building. Michelle, where are you? Thank you so much for coming. So I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. Glad you came here hungry, because today we're not only going to feed your bodies, but we're going to feed your minds too. We're blessed to have these leaders, these local leaders, that's going to give us some nuggets. We all know that leadership is not just a position or a title, but it's about action. You know their names already, but I didn't ask for their bios, because nobody knows more about them than them. So I'll let them tell them for themselves. And why don't we go ladies first? Ms. Deborah Manzo.
Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me here today. I have been, and I'll talk about my government experience, because that's what we're here today about. And I started working in municipal government in 1985, and I've worked in Palm Beach County for 3 different cities and worked there for about 37 years. And May of 21, I took the position as county administrator in the county of Okeechobee. So I've been there since then, and I look forward to discussing some of my experiences with you all today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Manzo. Now, I didn't tell you who I'm affiliated with, just in case I get kicked off this stage. One time I got the mic and said something real crazy like, "Coming to the stage, Cardi." Yeah, that ain't happening today. She ain't here today, so. Next one up, Mr. Nicholas Mims, City of Fort Pierce. He's gonna tell us what makes him tick, whether he kicks the dog or the cat, whatever happens when he feels like it.
Good afternoon. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let's do a little bit better. Good afternoon. There we go. My name is Nick Mims, and I have the pleasure of working with DJ Kevin Browning over here every day. But I will say I was born and raised in the beautiful city of Fort Pierce, and everyone, welcome to the beautiful city of Fort Pierce. Thanks for coming. Now, I happen to have been, like I said, born and raised here. I love this community. I love the people of the community. My family is here. My friends are here. And my devotion and my passion lies with this city. I had the opportunity to come back here after college. I worked a little bit after college at the University of Central Florida, and I got a call from the then city engineer, Mr. Hector Arias, and he asked me to come on down and work with him for a little while. So I did. And that little while has turned into 25 years. Yes, so I've been with the city of Fort Pierce for 25 years. I worked in the capacity of as an engineer, stormwater engineer, also a supervising engineer. Then I moved to the Public Works Department, became director of Public Works. I moved over to community redevelopment, became our redevelopment director. I then became our, a deputy city manager, and I became city manager in 2015. So this is my 7th year as city manager. Love what I do. I see Fort Pierce going in a great direction, and it is because of the collaborative partnerships and the people of this community. So all I can say is anybody that aspires to be a city manager or wants to be in that role, I tell you, it's one of the most rewarding and punishing professions that anyone can ever aspire to have. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to a great conversation.
Thank you, sir. Don Donaldson, Martin County.
Well, good afternoon, and it'll be hard to follow up on Nick, but like him, I am a product of Florida schools. I grew up in Palm Beach County, went to college at Florida Institute of Technology, and also an engineer. So don't hold that against me. But I've been with Martin County for 26 years now, and similar to Nick, I was their coastal engineer, and then later became their county engineer and public works director for most of that time, and then became their deputy county administrator. And just this July, I became their county administrator. So be nice to me.
Mr. Harold Brown, Village of Indiantown.
All right now. All right. Okay, so, well, thank you guys for having me. Unlike most of the guys up here, I haven't been on my job 25 years or 15, but I'm with the Village of Indiantown. I'm their first permanent village manager, and I've been there almost 4 years now. The Village of Indiantown is located in Martin County. It is in western Martin County near the lake. Kind of forgotten, but it's a brand new municipality that I'm proud to serve. I've worked all over the country. I've been a city manager in Los Angeles. I've been a city manager in Oklahoma. So I've been all over the country being a city manager in different municipalities. I'm Floridian I'm a Floridian, a 5th generation Floridian. I went to Florida State University. I'm a Seminole, go Seminoles, Bravo Seminoles in the room. And I'm happy to be here today. And I want to thank Alphonso Jefferson for inviting me and making sure that I make it here on time. So, but thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I want to give Russ the heads up that you're getting, no, not yet. You're going to get the first question. So, Mr. Howard Tipton.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Howard, and I have been the St. Lucie County Manager for 8 years now. And my career started in Volusia County, and going back to first 1980, so that just makes me older than everybody here. And I have been in Orange County and Brevard County, and saved the best county for last. So it's a wonderful community. I would echo the comments about it. As a profession, I don't think there's anything that you can do that's more rewarding. You have the chance to really shape and mold a community, and for generations that will never know your name. But it is absolutely one of the most, I think, noble things that you can be a part of. So really encourage you to think about that and think about the opportunities that are ahead. We are growing very quickly, and the opportunities are only going to get bigger and better. So I encourage you. Thank you.
I got you beat, Howard. So I'm Russ Blackburn. I'm the Port St. Lucie City Manager. I started my career in 1976. So it's been a while. I've been Port St. Lucie City Manager since 2016. Very proud to work in PSL. It's a great city. Very proud to work in St. Lucie County. It's a great county. And we're all, once in a while we have a little dust up, but overall we love each other a lot. And it's really a very good thing. So prior to coming to Port St. Lucie, I was the Gainesville City Manager. Any Gators out here? All right, yes, go Gators. I did hear a couple Knoll folks back here, so forget those. I was also the Martin County Administrator for 8 years, and I've worked in local government in South Carolina, Lee County, Florida. Don's right up the street in Punta Gorda. So I feel very fortunate. I've been both a city manager and a county administrator. I think that's helped me in my career to recognize all the commonalities we have in local government. And truthfully, a lot of the opportunities are very similar. So very anxious to participate with the panel, and thank you for the invitation. So.
Thank you, Russ. And just as I promised, we're going to start with you. And we're going to have a community conversation here, y'all. So we're just going to sit right here and chill. You can pass the mic. We're going to go this way first, and then we're going to go right back this way. And if you feel like you want to pass it, that's fine too. The first topic is upward mobility. And the first question, let's see. Boosting upward mobility, it looks at what is needed to empower the success of all residents, especially those that live in marginalized communities. So in your community, how are you engaging stakeholders and residents, as well as gathering data, survey, interviews, whatever it takes to create opportunities for success? Now, I know I got some long questions, so if I need, I can give you a copy of them if you needed it. All right, so that's that first one.
Well, Port St. Lucie, if some of you don't know, it's been publicized, but in kind of minor publications. Port St. Lucie is one of 2 diverse communities in the United States. Colorado Springs, Colorado, and Port St. Lucie are the 2 communities in the entire United States. If you look and determine, are the communities integrated with incomes, with races, with religion. Port St. Lucie is one of 2 communities in the nation that people say, yes, that works well and is clearly evident in Port St. Lucie. And so it comes with some bragging rights, but also some challenges. So as a community, we do reach out regularly. We do a national citizen survey each year to see what the needs of our community are and to try to find strategies to address those needs. So our big issues as a city of 120 square miles is where there are areas where folks are not thriving as well because of economics, we're thriving as a community, but everybody can't get there. So one of our struggles and one of our goals is trying to increase transportation for our community so everybody has access to jobs and to education. The other thing, and I know we're here in the Boys and Girls Club, all of us, particularly who've worked in any kind of community services, know it doesn't start when you're 17 or 18 and trying to help people provide and find their place in life. It starts when you're 1 and 2. And so I really applaud what Will and the team have done for the Boys and Girls Club in trying to help kids who are younger and get them started and doing well. Most of the United Ways in the nation now have focused on helping, really focusing their expenditures on helping kids that are 1, 2, 3, and the parents of those children so that they get them off to the right start. So Port St. Lucie is working to identify what our community needs are. We have a strategic plan where we identify what can the city do to address all of our needs across the community, and we stay very focused on that strategic plan.
Thank you, and I do commend the City of Port St. Lucie. They do a great job with their strategic planning and their citizen engagement. St. Lucie County just completed an upward mobility study that was funded by the Gates Foundation, and it was administered through the Urban Institute. And the study it's the initial study that then goes into action plans. And so the focus for us has been on workforce affordable housing and trying to understand where that piece of the puzzle is. And so we are partnering with our cities to do a housing needs assessment, which is the first step in that discussion. We also are focused on making sure that we have livable wages. And so we want to make sure that as we talk about, bringing jobs here, that these are the kind of jobs that you can actually work and live here at the same time. And that's important. And we want to make sure that the communities are safe and that the resources that we have are actually being brought to the community and not making the community come to us for service. And so it's just trying to change a little bit the way that we think about our model of service delivery. So those are some of the things that we've been up to.
So something we've had to identify recently is actually obtaining staff. We've had a lot of staff shortages, and most of our staffing comes, of course, from just the community where we live. We don't really bring in there's not a lot of industry to bring in outside employment to our area. So we looked at, one of the things we had is some of our positions required high school diplomas and GEDs, and we really evaluated that and said, do we really need it for some of our positions? So we started there and just identified that maybe GEDs and high school diplomas aren't required for some of our positions. And then once we get people in there, we have a tuition reimbursement program. We also try to assist them with different things, and we want to try to mentor, train, promote, and just keep the staff so that they can move up within our organization. And that's one of the things that we really try to do there. So, and prepare them for other, skills sets so that they can apply and move up in the organization.
Well, all good problems. At the Village of Indiantown, we do strategic planning every year, and we put together a work plan. And what we found out, and what most of our residents want, they want us to hire folks that are from the village or from the municipality. And so, obviously, we've grown from 1 employee to 36 employees since I've been there in 4 years, because we're a new municipality in Martin County. And so our challenges are many, but in terms of the talent acquisition or recruitment, we're challenged because we're way in Western Martin County. Our salaries aren't when you compare them to a Port St. Lucie or a West Palm Beach, they are not that competitive. So one of the things that the council and I decided was that maybe if we could provide health insurance, group health insurance for our employees, that would be a benefit, especially get seasoned workers. And then one of the other strategies was to have the Florida retirement system to help with recruitment, because folks would come, you would get seasoned employees to come to your municipality if you offered Florida retirement system and group health, paid for group health, fully paid for group health insurance. So those were kind of the things that we got. And since that time, we were able to recruit really good talent at the higher levels. However, a lot of those folks weren't from the community. And so, but most of the positions that we have in the water and sewer department and parks and recreation, all those are entry-level positions. And we encourage, and I make it as a requirement to our department directors that they hire folks from the community if they can, as long as they're qualified and they're willing to work.
Well, the city of Fort Pierce is a different place. It's an older city, and we have suffered with segregation. We've suffered with neglect. We've suffered with many impediments for different types of people, specifically, Black and brown people. Let's be completely real. So in reaching out to our communities, whether they're Hispanic, Creole speaking, in low impoverished areas, we have to be mindful of their barriers and what they want, what the people need, what our community needs in efforts for us to thrive. Some of those barriers are just awareness of resources. Some of those barriers are transportation. Some of those barriers are just education and also a decent living environment. So we try to gain that understanding because, living in and working in Fort Pierce, it is the most beautiful place. We have the haves and we have the have-nots. And it's up to all of us to take care of each other. And that's what we try to do in Fort Pierce. And we have to understand the challenges that the have-nots are facing and even the challenges that the haves face. And we have to balance that. And as administrators and as managers, it's a challenge balancing those needs. But getting out there, understanding what the people need and what the people want. And some of that is definitely done by our elected officials, our city commissioners, our county commissioners, having that one-on-one with their constituents, going to town hall meetings. That's where we gain the information. That's where we know how to cater our strategic plan. And I have to echo our other managers. The strategic plan is probably one of the most important things that we do on an annual basis. It gives us our roadmap. And from that citizen input, that citizen engagement, we create that strategic plan and we spend the rest of our time trying to implement those goals and objectives.
We say Fort Pierce is different, so is Martin County. But we often have what's underlooked is that we do have many of the same challenges that you do. We have older, distressed neighborhoods, and we use our CRAs for a lot of our external communication. Also, we have a strong relationship with our nonprofits to reach out. And I know there'll be further discussions here possibly on that, but certainly that's where we invested a lot of our CARES money and things like that. So I think in terms of our upward mobility there, the other thing we're looking at is trying to work with the college to have more locally based training to get folks involved in like our marine industries and some of the local businesses that we have here. That there is, the education is a big challenge for all of our positions. Finding qualified candidates is a struggle for all of us. And so I think one of the things internally that I've tried to achieve as a public works director and will continue as a county administrator is to make sure that we have jobs that lead to provide the internal training so that there is an upward mobility within the organization, because we often find folks that don't or have very little training. And there's no reason why a maintenance worker can't become a division manager or a department head in the future. And so finding the jobs and the training opportunities for those employees is one mechanism that I have direct control over. And then externally with our community is especially a lot of those older communities didn't have good infrastructure, especially in Martin County, drainage, water, sewer, utility. And so we're putting a lot of investment in that. And part of that is through our capital program, where we would like to go into some of these old neighborhoods and not just resurface the roads, but replace the swales, fix all the sidewalks, add new sidewalks, put in a low pressure force main that allows the people to hook up to sewer in the future. And so when we leave the community, that it has new drainage and it provides an uplift to the community. And then, as you said before, transportation is an often struggle for us in providing a better transit system that meets the needs of the population. And I'm thankful that ours is growing, but we have a long way to go.
Thank you. They pretty much nailed both parts of that question. I got another part, but I'm going to leave one question for you to the end and let you know what that one is in a few. But I've been in my house for about 20 years, so I'm glad I bought it a good while ago, because somebody told me a few minutes ago that new houses are coming up for $600,000. That's the elephant in the room. Affordable, attainable housing. Are you overseeing an affordable housing plan? Please share some of the highlights of the plan and the immediate impacts it will have on the community, and more specifically, underserved communities. So if you don't mind, we can start right down there.
There you go.
Thank you. We had really just a few months ago, a good number of our nonprofits came to the commission with a challenge. What are we doing about affordable housing? So we're really, there's two things of that. One is that we're looking at what can we do more? And there's a lot of questions on how to better manage our housing. For Martin County, it is a challenge when every time we talk about affordable housing and giving developers increased density. If those of you who are not familiar with Martin County, that's a tough thing for us to wrestle, is how do you give additional entitlements in a community that doesn't want any growth, and do it in a way that the rest of the voting community feels that you're achieving something. And so we have, so we are working, trying to bring a community group to bring us back some suggestions on how we can work within our existing communities. How can we use the undeveloped space that we have, and what else more we can do. And so we've done a few small projects over the years that I'm hoping can be examples. One of them was in Carter Park years ago in Indiantown. And where we've gone in, the county has simply gone to some of the old platted subdivisions, if you will, that you have the lots there, and we put in the roads. The roads are just paper streets, and we'll put in the infrastructure, and then the lots are available for development. And typically we've used work with like Habitat for Humanity and others. And so we're really interested in some sort of housing trust or something where we can work with a nonprofit entity that can handle the housing portion of it, and the county would be working on the infrastructure piece. And we're working in Banner Lake. We're looking that community is looking to create a trust. And so those are some small examples. I know it doesn't get the larger part, but where we think we can at least make a difference in some of the neighborhoods. The CRAs, of course, is an investment for us, but we're seeing the same challenges, that what was affordable is largely becoming unaffordable. And I think the other part of that equation that we're seeing and are all struggling with is there's two pieces of it, is the actual housing costs, and then there's the wages or income of the individuals that are going in there. And I think we're going to see, some changes there. And I think that's where that other piece that I mentioned is trying to educate our locals, and provide them, because we have jobs available. There are communities, there are businesses that have jobs available that they can't fill. and not fill with anybody locally. So I think part of our challenge is the education, the wages, and then housing is the other piece of it.
So, what the city of Fort Pierce has done is we look at it from a couple of different perspectives. We look at it from what we can do internally with our funds that we receive either locally from the state or from the federal government. And we also look at working with the developers. Now, one project that did come to mind long ago, I worked with a young lady named Dorena Jenkins. She's sitting out in the audience, and she worked with some CDBG funding, and we actually built some infrastructure. We worked with a local chodo, and we built houses for first-time home buyers. Now we're doing the same thing with another development area called Oaks at Morris Creek. Now, we went through phase 1 and we built about 12 houses, and now we're going through phase 2 and we're building another 15 homes in the same area. Now, as Don just mentioned, it's nice to build homes and it's nice to get the folks, qualified, but how much are they getting approved for? If you have a $300,000 house and you get approved for $220,000, something's missing there. So what we're trying to do, and now we recently implemented and have advertised our down payment assistance program. And what that does, it looks at income eligible applicants, and these are typically very low, very low and low income applicants. And it allows them to qualify for this program to buy a house in our beautiful city, and you can get upwards of $45,000 toward your home. So instantly, let's just say you buy your home, you receive this additional funding as a grant, and as soon as you put that key in their door, you have equity. Because your mortgage is a certain amount, we've knocked down that initial price, so you have equity in your home. That's one of the strategies that we have. And we also work with developers to create economic development incentives to build affordable housing, whether it's apartments or single family homes. So we knock down their upfront development price, we help them on some of their impact fees, and we promote these type of developments. One, thank goodness for St. Lucie County, we have Blue Sky Development out there by, Walmart. And that's almost complete. They're nearing completion, and they have a second phase that's coming up as well. So that's how we try to work internally and externally to try to battle this. In addition, we have a rapid rehousing program and a residential rehabilitation program to keep people in their existing homes as well. Because right now, trying to go out and buy a house is a challenge. So we try to keep people in their homes today so that they can take care of their families.
Thank you, sir. We're still on housing. I just want to let you know that when Sarah was whispering to me, she was telling me I look almost like Will Smith on this stage. No, that's not what she was saying. What the devil? Okay, so we're going to speak just a little bit louder. My bad.
All right. Well, housing is a very serious subject in most municipalities, but when you're in a rural community like I am, it becomes a challenge. And the challenge that we're having is just connecting our residents to resources, to the first-time homebuyers program or to down payment assistance programs that exist out there. And so our biggest challenge is just trying to, organize the effort to have a targeted education program to people that live in the community in order to get them to buy a home. And in Indiantown, which is a little different than the rest of Martin County, it was created because they wanted to develop housing and commercial development and that type of thing. And so we have one development project that has about 2,400 units. It's already been entitled, it's already been permitted, and they're on their way to building out that 2,400 unit development. But we've talked to, I would say in the last 6 months, at least 10 different developers that are interested in building developments that size out in our area. And so one of our challenges is our water and sewer. It's not up to the speed where we need to be at in order to accommodate all of that growth. And so the council is going to be very selective in what comes in and what gets built. But the biggest concern right now is just trying to connect the resources to the people, because any town is about 67% Latino, about 20% African American, followed by white. And so, as you can imagine, the challenges that we have with just communicating in Spanish or Creole or in English, most times we have those challenges as well. I'm not a housing expert, but I can just tell you that really connecting the resources, that's what I've seen in my experience. People, there's all these resources out there, but no one knows how to go about and get it. So for example, this USDA loan program, it's beneficial for rural communities. It's for rural communities where they give you a very low interest rate on your home loan, and it doesn't matter what your credit score is. Just, they only look at debt to income. And so that's a big deal if you're trying to buy a house for the first time and you don't have a 720 or higher credit score. But I don't know what credit scores need to be now to buy a house, but a lot of things have changed in that market. But so our challenge, or what we're doing at any town, is connecting our residents with the resources and education so that they can go and be all they can be to homeownership.
So I have your answer for affordable housing. Move to Okeechobee County. We have lots of affordable housing there. We welcome you. And that is what's good about rural counties. The living there is probably a little bit less expensive whenever it comes to housing, and you have a lot of different housing markets there. But we do have programs. We have a affordable housing advisory committee that looks at affordable housing. We also participate in the SHIP program, which is the State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program. We receive about $380,000 a year right now from that program, where we're able to help families purchase a new home, or at least help them make repairs, especially with roofs. With what's going on with the insurance industry and insurance companies not wanting to insure if your roof doesn't meet certain standards. So that's been invaluable to some of our lower income residents, to help them stay in the homes that they even have by helping them with renovations and repairs there. And the other program that we have is we have some of the land that we have identified as affordable housing sites, and then we partner as a private partnership. And so we partner with a private industry who then we give the land to them, and then they build the affordable housing on it. So thank you.
So we're doing a lot of the same things in St. Lucie County. We've got $3.5 million as part of our home program, where we can make investments in partnership to keep people who are housing challenged from being homeless. Nick mentioned the Blue Sky development. I think the challenge that we have is we're all good at 5, 10, 20, but we have to scale this up. It's got to be, we need to be talking about 5,000. We need to be talking about 10,000. It's a matter of scale and how we do that. And that's going to take some different thinking, because we just haven't been able to achieve that yet. But I think if we can find the partnerships at the state level with our development community, and then our local resources, I think we can do it. But the scale of what we need to be doing is, I think, the big challenge.
Howard, we were sitting at the same couch and having the same idea. Okay. Because it really is about scale. And I don't know that any local government in Florida is meeting the scale of needs for affordable housing. So Port St. Lucie started out as an affordable community. We have 85,000 platted lots. And until about 10 years ago, most of them were vacant. So one of the things the city could always bring to the table if there was a partnership is we had the lot. They were escheated. Thank you, Michelle. Back to the city. We owned them. We were able to sometimes put 30 lots out at a time for partners, whether it was Habitat for Humanity or other entities, and they could build a home. We would provide the equity essentially of the lot, and we're able to really help a lot of people get into homes in our community that they may not have been able to afford otherwise. That's all changed, literally changed in the last 3 years, I think, where I came to this city in 2016. You could buy a really nice house for under $200,000. That was unheard of in most of our state. Now our market sales price is around $390 on average, and there tend to be pushing that and over. So they're not affordable now. And over time, we've absorbed most of our vacant lots. We're down from 85,000 original platted lots to around 12,000 lots. And they're usually not the most desirable lots when you have that kind of change. So our neighborhood services department uses SHIP funds. We use CDBG to try to partner with other nonprofits. We do a lot of work. We actually have a partnership with what's now a Treasure Coast Land Trust group that provides all of the administrative support, the evaluation support for people who want to own their own home, and then we build them. They provide the process to sell the homes and monitor them. But we're talking 20 a year. We're talking 30 a year at the most. It won't cut it, and it won't make housing affordable. And I think that's the challenge. As we look at best practices, you see right now, if you've been listening to your TV advertisements, Palm Beach County is working on a housing bond, to bring in lower cost money that can be made available to buyers. That's one of the 4 elements of what makes housing affordable. It starts with income. You got to have the income. Second is the actual cost of land, the cost of the house, and then the cost of the money. So all of those 4 pieces really come together for affordability. At one point, most cities were able to work on one of those pieces. It might have been the cost of money, it might have been the cost of the housing, or Port St. Lucie has had the privilege of being able to provide the land, the lots for free or a little cost. And that's disappeared as the housing economy has gotten more expensive and more competitive. So I think our challenge as local governments is how do we scale some of our good ideas and to make them work and reach more people.
Thank you, sir. Well, I guess it was about 6 or 8 years ago, former President Barack Obama said, there's going to be a pandemic, going to be another one. I think that was after swine, something, or bird flu, one of those flus. And then we had a pandemic. So the experts say there might be another one. So let's talk pandemic and resiliency. What was one of the biggest eye-openers for you during the pandemic? Were you surprised by the disparities it revealed? How have you adapted, and what significant changes have you made to prepare for these types of events in the future? And then we received American Rescue Plan funds. So where'd you put the money for those rescue plan funds? Roads, utilities, et cetera. So we have that 2-part question. Who wants to go first? All right.
Let me get it out the way before these guys get political. But the Village Bennytown, it's majority minority community, and we were impacted by the pandemic. We had more deaths in our community than any other jurisdiction in the area. And we had some challenges with our current health department trying to communicate with our residents, because our residents speak Spanish and they speak this unique Mayan dialect. And so the health department would send people over that spoke Spanish, but a large majority of our community, our Spanish-speaking community, they speak this dialect, this Mayan dialect called Quiche. There's 3 of them, Quiche, Mum, and Conjabal. And unless you are from a certain area in Central, that is, it doesn't even sound like Spanish. And so a lot of our residents were having challenges. They were being hospitalized. We had a high number of deaths in the community. And at that time, a lot of us didn't really know how to deal with what BMPs should we put in place. And so I think the Village of Anytown, we were one of the first communities that adopted a mask mandate, which was controversial because in the county that we're in, or the region that we're in, it is divided by the political realities that exist in terms of how do you feel about wearing masks or not. And so we're one of the first communities to do it. And after that, we had other communities that came on board and they started doing it. But we were impacted by that. I personally lost 2 aunts during COVID. And so it impacted the African American or minority communities more than it impacted other communities. So communities of color were impacted more so than other communities. And as far as American Rescue Plan, we were fortunate to get, American Rescue Plans, and obviously we are using it to do a lot of good things and good work in Anytown. Most of that money would be spent putting in infrastructure, not just water and sewer infrastructure, but automating our entire municipality through computer technology. We're in the process of buying a $500,000 ERP system or software system to automate the entire village. And so we are right now doing that. We're about a year away of completing that project, which will be key. But American Rescue Plans, thank God for them. We needed them.
So at the time of the pandemic, I was working in Palm Beach County, and we did the similar things that every other jurisdiction was looking at and doing, and that was, scaling down operations, closing down, facilities, doing distancing requirements. I was on several committees for working with Palm Beach County. At that time, we were putting regulations in for businesses, whether if you were going to operate or even if you could operate, what those requirements were that you could operate under. That was later, a lot of that was changed through our governor that stopped the locals, regulating the businesses. But the 3 counties, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, were under a different set of standards, I should say. I shouldn't say regulations, because the people that had COVID, that we had higher numbers there, so we stayed closed a little bit longer. And then and then you have to scale back up. First of all, we had a lot of people that were out of the office. Either they were sick, they had family members sick, childcare was an issue. We had staffing that couldn't come into work because there wasn't childcare. We made provisions for people to drop off like building plans in a box, because at one time it was thought that, COVID stayed on papers and documents for a length of time. So it was more, the leadership was more reactive. And plus you were working with so many different disciplines. You had the businesses you were working with to try to get them information. Your commissioners and your councils were wanting information. Your staff were just wanting direction from you to know, so that they knew what to do and how to handle situations. And sometimes you didn't have the answers to all of this, but you worked through them. You worked with the other jurisdictions in your community, and we worked through all that. And then as we were scaling back up, we were opening some of our businesses like the beach. And again, we had distancing requirements for the beach, but yet Miami-Dade and Broward were still closed. So what was happening is their residents were coming up to Palm Beach. So some of the cities in Palm Beach County, even though we said we were open and there was distancing requirements, then some of the cities said, well, we're getting inundated, like the city of Boca Raton. So they said, we're closing our beaches. So there was just a lot of different things going on that you had to react to quickly, and you just didn't get a whole lot of chance sometimes to really plan things like on a normal day, plan for something. It was just a lot of reactivity, but we got into our stride and we started, doing things. But I think as far as the leadership part, it was still, for me, it was coming in every day, being positive for my staff that I managed, being energetic, being kind, being there, setting the example, just working as a group to get through things, being understanding of what was going on in their personal lives, just to, and I'm sure all of us went through that. And I learned through a lot of it. Most of us had pandemic plans that we took off our shelf when this happened, but we noticed that this COVID didn't exactly fit into that plan. So we had to modify our plans along the way too. As far as the COVID money and the art money, of course, a lot of our, CARES money went to just paying for the setting up the sites and staffing and just a lot of the resources, the mask and everything else that we were providing to our community. The art money, broadband. So being in a rural community, we don't have a real good source for internet services. So we're investing a lot of that in broadband and also some of our infrastructure. And we need to replace our jail, and jails aren't popular to get funded, so some of the money is going to replacing the jail too. So
I think I'll skip talking about the pandemic, the pain and the challenges. It was as horrible as anything we've ever been through. The one silver lining was that it really taught us about virtual capabilities. And so the ability to work from home, to work remotely, was fast-tracked by, maybe a decade in our organization. And so that's been a real positive, especially as we're challenged with trying to find staff. So we are now looking at certain jobs that we have for somebody who could live in Panama City and work here and never come to the office. And so that part of it has worked well. I think from a trying to mitigate some of the damage, we find ourselves investing more heavily in the Hands Clinic, which is a healthcare provider for what we would call the working poor. And the county has doubled the investment in the Hands Clinic as a result of what we saw during the pandemic. The other thing I would mention too is when we talk about working remotely, the broadband piece. For us, we have the broadband infrastructure throughout the community. It's access. And so our money is going to help go towards actually getting people connected to the broadband, to the internet, and take it from there.
So I'm going to start by thanking Howard and the team from St. Lucie County, who really did a wonderful job as the incident commander for St. Lucie County during the pandemic. Thank you, Howard, and all of the team. There's several things we learned from the pandemic. One, and some of these things we knew already, but maybe we didn't practice or we didn't recognize how important they were. Every county and most of the bigger cities have an emergency management plan, and it's a plan that's based on all hazards. So this was just another hazard. And so your plan, if it was well thought out, which most were, if you followed that plan, you knew how to handle the pandemic. You knew, that you couldn't have 6 people in charge. You needed to have 1 in charge. Certainly at a county level, the state identifies the county administrator as the incident commander. At a city level, we employed our plan exactly the same way. And so we used we identified who the important seats in the room were, and then we're able to manage the pandemic response, in our organization very well. The thing that we knew already, but the pandemic really hammered home, was how important communication is. Not just for your organization, but for your community, for the folks that we all serve. And so we went on weekly Facebook chats to provide information to the community, call-ins. There were times when we would have 2,000 and 3,000 people, on one of our Facebook chats. They wanted to know what was going on because there was a dearth of information. Nobody knew. We hadn't been through a pandemic since 1918. So it was an opportunity to just try to identify, how do you respond to get over some of the fears that were coming. So Clint Sperber was one of our guests, but we had guests, Congressman Mass. We had a guest almost every week to, a subject matter expert. We also used our website. We immediately set up web pages for the pandemic. Again, communication. And you just can't overstate how important that is in anything where people are uncertain. We've all heard it, and it's very true. If people don't know the answer, they will make it up. And that's what we found during the pandemic. People were making it up, whether it's a treatment or the fact that you can get COVID off of a cardboard box, whatever it may be, they'll make it up. So you got to get out there and give them information. And so for us as a city, we got out of our comfort zone. We began to talk, not in a bureaucratic manner, but really to talk with our citizens. And we used all our tools. One of those certainly was our Facebook page, but we also tried to engage where we could with folks who were on Nextdoor. Our webpage is very active and updated daily. So not, that's the other thing is when you have an emergency, we're used to operating on bureaucratic time. Okay, we'll go get our committee. We'll get 4 or 5 folks. We'll go talk about it, and we'll come back in 2 weeks. Well, that's too late. And so that was something else we saw and learned very, very strongly during the pandemic is people wanted information right away. So some very tactical things that we've changed as an organization. And like St. Lucie County, it used to be that we would have a meeting, just as an example, our department heads would all get together once a week and talk about all the issues that we had coming up, share information. We did that in a room that was built for 40 people, and we would have every bit of 40 people in that room. Well, if you have a contagious disease, that's probably not a good idea. So we went virtual with our department head meetings, and we are still virtual with our department head meetings. We've not gone back to putting 40 people in a room built for no more than 40 people. We certainly are looking at adding more conference room spaces to all our buildings over time because that are large, because we see that, people need to get together, but they don't need to get together so close, regardless of what it is. And we don't know what the next pandemic will be, but it's probably going to be better if we keep our 6 feet separation. And so those are the kind of things that we've learned as an organization. But it's all underpinned by that when you have something that's unknown, something new, whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, a chemical spill, or a pandemic, you need to communicate a lot.
Thank you, sir. If you don't mind, I'm going to put these gentlemen on hold for a second because as you saw Sarah whispering more sweet nothings in my ear, this time it was a young Denzel Washington, so thank you very much. No, she actually said that some of you might have a burning question that you want to ask while you have this League of Leadership team here. Anybody have anything that you'd just like to know how they did what they did or something that you want to know? Our next topic coming up is minority business. So is there anything burning on you right now? No? Okay. American Rescue Funds, guys? ERA funds? What happened with them? This question we had here with the ERA funds or pandemic.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
you're talking about eye-opening, awakening experiences?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I was paying attention. Now, You know, one thing I did notice, right? That was eye-opening. And I'm just like Howard, I don't want to talk about all the horribleness of COVID. But I'll tell you one thing. When everybody went home and we got everybody outfitted with their technological devices, their equipment and whatnot, like Jonna Morris, she's out in the audience. She's our treasurer, right? NFBPA. And, you know, typically, like when Jonna was in the office and I called Jonna, I say, hey, Jonna, I need this report. It would take her all day to get back to me, right? But then I noticed when she worked remotely, I would send John an email, and 15 minutes later, I get that report. So I'm thinking to myself, what the hell did John do all day? But what I didn't see is that people had a yearning to be with their family, right? I never seen a stronger bond and commitment to be with family and loved ones than what we went through. And having people home and with their families and having flexible schedules really increase morale and productivity. I've never seen anything like it. So we still in my office. I know Jonna, you know, I'm talking about her bad, but she doesn't, you know, let her people have flexible schedules. But in my office, we still are flex, and I give all the department heads the opportunity to, you know, give your people the flexibility. If they want to work from home a couple of days per week, let them. If they have some idea of how they can be more productive, let them bring it to the table. So right now we are inspiring innovation, we love creativity, and we love flexibility. And we're looking for good people. So if we can recruit from the county or Port St. Lucie, we're looking, okay? And so that's just a, you know, shameless plug for City Fort Pierce is a great place to work.
So is Martin County, Nick. And I think I'll continue the theme of not talking about the real eye-openers during the event, which was the lack of consistent information from our federal government to our state, to our local and our health department. And ultimately, it was left up to your local officials to determine what was best for your community. And as Russ stated, the social media campaigns against what you were doing were vicious. And I don't know that we have fully an answer for that yet. And so I think we're great at disaster planning. You know, a pandemic, hopefully we won't have one for another century. But learning from that, I think on the job place and remote, we have a different workforce from that. You know, the expectations of people wanting to have more family time, and finding out that their job, the mundane portions of their job, if they are leaving us. If your job doesn't have, you know, the training or the different things, I think our workforce is looking for something different. Now, I also believe that, you know, the remote working did work, and I think we've found methods to ensure that our citizens, that we can have remote working and a productive workforce. And I don't think we have to educate our community as much because they went through it as well. So I think that is a benefit. I think like you said, using better technological communication for meetings and allowing our workforce. And I had a recent one where I have someone who does a lot of work with our permitting area, doesn't interact with the public a lot, and their husband, they're moving out of the state. And so why terminate them? Why not see if we can still do this as a remote working experience? And so, and I know talking to my comrades here, they've had similar experiences. And in fact, I think they were the leaders and I just borrowed it from them to say, I'll try it out. So it's, I think those are the types of things that we have learned from the pandemic. In terms of what we did with the funds from CARES Act, and we did invest a lot lot of our ARPA funds in capital improvements. We have a big program to try to convert our neighborhoods onto sewer, trying to do 10,000 tanks in 10 years. And so a big chunk of it went there. And then another portion of it, a big portion went to some various nonprofits and providing them funds for capital improvements that provide them better food or refrigeration and things to provide the needs to the citizens. So, and there's some other funds going into some workforce development portions that we're also putting in there. So we kind of bifurcated it between, a big chunk to capital projects that we had needs for, and then through our nonprofits to United Way helped us actually quite a bit with ensuring how we would get the funds. And of course, that's a whole other complicated part of the business. The CARES Act was much easier to manage. The ARPA has a lot more rules to it. And educating our nonprofits on how they can successfully spend that money and get risk reimbursed, and so that when we get audited, we don't get the money taken back. So we're still playing that game a little bit, but I think we'll be successful in getting a lot of money out to the community that way.
Any small business owners in the building? No? Any entrepreneurs? Oh, okay, there we go. We got some. Well, if you have a question, let me know. So this one's for you. Small business owners or minority-owned businesses. The Biden administration has committed to infusing millions of dollars into cities and counties for infrastructure and facade improvements. Oftentimes, local small businesses are not the beneficiaries of these dollars because they don't have the administrative support to complete the application process. How have you guys and ladies advocated for small business owners, and what solutions have you put in place to ensure local businesses are positioned to fairly compete for federal funding? Any takers?
I don't have a great answer. During the early days of the pandemic, John Ticanich, who is here, helped to dish out about $2.4 million of the CARES Act money that we had for business assistance. And a lot of that went to small businesses. And what we found was that they were, in some cases, so small, they were working out of a shoebox in terms of records. And so one of the things that we did try to do was try to give them a sense of what kind of records they do need to keep in order to be able to apply for assistance, because there are thresholds of information that you have to be able to supply. So we did work through that. The other thing that we've done, two things. We have participated with the Regional Planning Council on a revolving loan fund. And so that's an opportunity for businesses to come and participate with that. We've also done a local one out at the airport as well for small business. The other thing we've done is we've partnered, as the city has done, with the Chamber of Commerce to have them help us with working with some of the smaller businesses. We do really well with the large businesses and the medium-sized businesses, but we struggle sometimes because we don't have the resources and the time to work with really small up-and-coming businesses because they just don't have the experience and we just don't have the time to train them. But the Chamber is great at that, and so we partner with that. But I think there are going to be some great opportunities working with IRSC, working with some of our other partners. They have an entrepreneurship center there at IRSC. I really recommend people to get a hold of that. But there's going to be some great opportunities, I think, for this community and our region to draw down some dollars, and how we use those is going to be important.
And in Okeechobee County, we have a lot of small businesses already, and we want those small businesses to be able to stay there and maintain themselves. And so we work very closely with the Chamber of Commerce, our county commissioners, myself, we're all involved very close with the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce has website designs, marketing. They help the small businesses get up and going and also maintain. And we really push about supporting the businesses there in Okeechobee County is some of the things that we do to help and assist. So anyone else?
So Port St. Lucie in Elijah 2017 started a business navigator position to really help small businesses and both get through our development process, but also just be a resource how do you, if you need a permit, do you need a zoning determination to open up your business? I want to compliment Elijah, who's done some really creative things there as he has been promoted and progressed in our organization, which occurred because of all that creativity. We do a before you sign a lease program that Elijah works with the chamber on as well, to make sure that people know before they get indebted, can you really do what you want to do in the location that you've identified? Very important, because if you're a startup business, you're thinking about your business. You are not thinking about the bureaucracy of your city or your county government. And so how do you help them get some of those issues out of the way, or make sure they don't make a bad mistake? And so you do have to do a little bit of hand-holding for folks. They know their business, but they don't know the city government or the county government. So we've also engaged in a business accelerator, a training program with the folks with the Small Business Development Administration at IRSC, where we bring in a class of 30 people or so, Port St. Lucie, with the SBDC staff members and community members, try to help businesses that are, maybe they started with 1 or 2 employees, but they want to grow to 5 or 20 or 30, and what's necessary to make those next steps. And we're very fortunate our city council agreed to actually provide grants out of our CDBG program. So if you're a graduate of that program, we actually have a $5,000 grant to help you with your business. You write a business plan, what are you going to do with it? And then we've reached out to the private sector and they match that grant. And so it's a great way to start, to help a small business get a start. As we all, I think have all read, you all know that most businesses are small. But all big businesses started small somewhere. And so we have to try to give them the access they need, the ideas they need, I don't believe the government can do it, but we can certainly show them the path, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
So in Martin County, our purchasing division, we do, and occasionally they will come to us to look at projects that we can break up into smaller pieces, so that some of our smaller business gets into it, maybe takes the landscaping component out of the roadway project or the sidewalk or other things, or even in our building project, so that so we can provide opportunities to our small businesses. And the same thing there in terms of some of our bids for just general services, supplies and the other thing. In another area we've been working with, actually one of the nonprofits located here in St. Lucie County, Self Solar Energy Loan Fund. We pay them every year to help us provide some services. But one of the things they do is we also have them sign up small businesses to help in these construction industry projects, for whether it's energy upgrades or window replacements. And they work on for us on a lot of the lower income areas or needs, and again to try to keep folks in their homes. And they also help us with a new program in our septic to sewer program and a loan program. But one of the things, again, that they've specifically targeted in their contract is to find small businesses in Martin County to serve those activities we've asked them to help us with.
Thank you. Growing diverse populations in the region and community. Do you have, and I know some of you do, concentrations of minority populations in your communities? How are you enacting efforts to engage and hear the different voices, concerns, and empower and advocate for those who might not otherwise be heard? And if you can talk a little bit, if you see some gentrification, and what can we do to mitigate those efforts? Oh, small business. Here we go. Let's go. More sweet nothings. Boy, look out.
Now, I told you guys when I first started that I'm a rebel, but I'm not a fool. So I don't have a question, but I do have a statement. working with the St. Lucie County Economic Development Team, the EDC in the past, and what we created, the VBRC, which was the Virtual Resource Business Center with Mr. Bill West here. What we noticed is a lot, and the question was also related to minority businesses. And so what we noticed was a lot of our minority businesses weren't ready to receive federal funding, and we had to do a lot of work, and that might be because of the nature of how sometimes business matriculates and how business was done in the past between barter and, you really didn't need anything. You kind of just did your business and you bartered with your community and the business thrived. So I just wanted to say that for everyone on this panel, that I feel we need to do a better job at, one, understanding, and I know you guys do, how our minority businesses operate, but also what resources we're using, whether it be the chamber, and I know St. Lucie County has just recently, the Haitian Chamber of Commerce have opened up. We have the Black Chamber of Commerce and we have the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. But how we interact with our businesses, how we move within our communities, and how we touch those businesses is so important. And so just not to forget about our minority community, specifically just bringing to mind a question that was asked about our Haitian Chamber of Commerce and that community and how they do business, and just the other folks. So just how are we touching, what are we doing extra to get to our minority business owners to make sure that they understand what they need to operate within the community, to receive funding, and then to also be a mentor to the next small business that's coming up. So I just wanted to mention that because I am the community and business engagement coordinator, and I feel it's important to talk about business as well as that part.
My name is Hazel Hoyman, and I have a small nonprofit in the image of Christ. And I can tell you that when I first started out, we started out as a result of HIV and AIDS in our community and did not know where to start. About maybe 3 years ago, Allegheny Franciscan Ministries came in. And they came in and they started working with small nonprofits in our community to kind of shore them up so that we could get funding. I was one of the ones that was getting funding for quite a little while now, but I didn't know what to do. I love what you just said. We saw a need and we just started doing it. And so one of the things that I would like to see is that mentorship, but also making sure that people in the community know about the resources and how to really access the resources is key. I think when Allegheny Franciscan Ministries came in, they did a survey within the community to find out who was doing what. And what we found out was there were a lot of people doing the exact same thing and didn't even know it. And so they were able to come in and bring us together, put in cohort groups where they taught us about board development. They taught us different things in order to make sure our nonprofits were able to not only get funding, but knew what to do as a result of receiving that funding. I can tell you that I've applied for grants from different agencies, and some of them, they put the information out. Like I did one, and we were ready to go. We were getting ready to do our virtual tour, and she sent me a bunch of questions, like maybe 10 questions that I needed to answer to before that virtual, which was that next week. That was impossible. It really was. So just, making it a little bit easier. I'm not saying that we don't want to follow the process, but it'd be a lot better for us if we understood the process.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hazelman. Any response on the diverse communities, or any input or gentrification? And maybe the question's too general for you. Yes, sir.
And maybe not here in the Village of Anytown, but I worked for a community in Los Angeles, California. It was a city that was 97% Latino. And one of the challenges that you have in a place like that, you're inundated with all sorts of information. And the people that live there, it's hard for them they need a translator. Earlier, I was in line with Teresa from Port St. Lucie, and they were talking about they have a business navigator that walks them through the planning department. And so when you're dealing with 88 cities in like Los Angeles County with 13 million people, you have to have something in place to funnel the information from the bottleneck to get it to the people so they can actually take advantage of it. And so, small communities like Village of Anytown, we don't have those kind of resources where we can have someone that could shepherd you through the process. But one of the programs that I was involved in we call it the First Step program. And so it was to help a person that will walk through the door, minority community, shepherd them through the process of understanding that there's licensing, there is resources out there, setting up a bank account with a bank, knowing who your target audience is, and connecting them with the resources to do that. And so it's always important to do that. So that's one of the things that we don't do well in the minority communities. And I've worked in a few. We don't have a person that can shepherd you through the process. And so something I heard earlier, it was something that I've seen done and replicated in other communities. And that's something that we should do. We should make it a requirement, not just talk about it.
And I just wanted to say thank you for the mentorship program. I'm going to take that back to the chamber. I think that's a great idea. And I know that they're always looking for different programs to help the businesses. And thank you.
If you didn't hear her, she said time for about one more question and answer. Any questions out there? Any? Oh. All right.
We're at 2:16, so.
So if we don't have any other questions, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Alphonso Jefferson. Where are you, sir? Thank you and NFBPA for this opportunity for me to even be on stage with all these important people. I'm the peon in the business world here.
So Alphonso's going to come out and close out for us. I really thank you all for being here. I do have one more shameless plug to put in. I will not let you leave without saying, if you're interested in joining NFBPA, we have placed cards on the table and asked you that you fill them out. Remember, we have vacancies just like everybody else. And I feel like Nick came for me about the whole treasurer thing. Nick, you came for me? Oh, he didn't come for me. All right, here you go.
Well, again, thank you. Thank you for coming out today. I really appreciate the turnout that we had today. This is a wonderful conversations that we want to have in our community. I am so thankful for this group here because I can tell you, getting on their schedule is very difficult. So they're making the time to come out and just to have this conversation. I'm so appreciative of them and the effort and the things that they do in their community. Trust me, their job is not easy. It is not easy, but they make it look easy because all this experience up here, we should learn from it and embrace it and help them make changes in our particular community. So with that being said, I have some certificates for them, just to thank them for all that they're doing for, if you can pass them out for us. Also, I have one last thing to do. Let me see that other item. We are losing someone in our organization, and I just wanted to take our opportunity to say thank you to her. She is leaving St. Lucie County area altogether, so I'd like to bring up Chanel Tomlin. You know, when we decided to bring back the National Forum for Black Public Administrators to this particular area, I'm going to kind of explain to you a little bit more about it. But Chanel was one of the first that came on board who wanted to be a part of the organization. We're going to hate to lose her, but we know that her journey is taking her someplace else. And we know that God is going to be with her. And thank you. I really appreciate you, Chanel. She is so wonderful. She drives me crazy, though, I tell you. So the National Forum for Black Public Administrators, we are the premier organization for the development of Black public administrators. We have over 2,500 members nationwide. Our goal has been to mentorship, to do professional development, but also work in our communities as well. So the members, we have about 50 members here in the Treasure Coast area, and we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So the people that you see in this particular room, they are working real hard, especially our members, and we're so appreciative of them for being a part of the chapter. Since we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary, on your table, we have our second annual Black History Month Gala that will be coming up. Last year, we had over 325 attendees at this particular event during the COVID timeframe, 325. We're anticipating 400 this year. As part of our gala, we use some of those proceeds for scholarships within our particular community. You see Martin County, Indian River, St. Lucie County, and Okeechobee County represented here. We represent all 4 of those particular counties. We gave out $3,000 in scholarships in partnership with the Indian River State College, who matches us dollar for dollar for anything that we generate in a scholarship, dollar for dollar, to give back to our particular community. So we hope that you're able to join us on February 25th, 2023 at the Finn Center for this gala. 400 attendees. You don't want to miss it. Last year I had people just calling me all times of night asking for tickets for this particular thing. We had to cut it off because we still want to maintain social distancing during that time. But this year we're going to have 400 attendees. So I hope that you can come out. You can join us. Tickets are on sale right now. And so you don't want to miss this particular event. Again, as I close, I'm so thankful to this group. I really appreciate it. I have learned a lot from everybody here. I'm so thankful to be, Howard has been my boss for some years. He's going to be missed as well. Howard's leaving the area, but I'm so thankful for him and all his mentorship as well. So we look forward to doing more of these. Hopefully we find another partner. We will be doing something on social justice. We want to do a community conversation on that. And we really want to dig down some more into small businesses and minority businesses and more of that nature. So we're looking at doing some more community leadership luncheons and hope that you will attend future events with the National Forum for Black Public Administrators. Thank you for coming out.